It's rookie orientation weekend here at the Star in Frisco. Cowboys filled a lot of needs in the draft, but do they need to do more? We explore on the Blitz, coming up now.
Pops out to the right, breaks a tackle. They blitz it. Prescott throws it down the right side for Lamb. Caught it! Back to throw, rush, sack by Parsons.
Belt tie snap. Prescott with plenty of time. Lobs it end zone. Jake Ferguson.
It is the month of May, and the clock is officially ticking towards training camp, now less than 3 months away. This is the Blitz here from the Star in Frisco, the Globe Life Studios. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans. We've got so much to get to over the course of the next half hour because this is a big weekend for all those draft picks the Cowboys got a week ago because they finally got to the Star as a Dallas Cowboy.
Yes. It is a quick turnaround for the rookies of the 2025 NFL draft class, specifically for the Cowboys. It felt like yesterday they were getting their names called. Now they're getting their names printed on the front of a helmet, and they've got some work to do going into the week with rookie minicamp.
And I like the fact that the Cowboys are having this rookie minicamp and on the heels of the draft, just a few days after they get drafted. Here recently, it's been a couple of weeks before the rookies get here. They get to hit the ground running, and eventually they'll be with the veterans.
Well, and I think it mirrors what Brian Schottenheimer wants to do from a culture aspect. He wants to waste no time trying to establish what he wants to establish from a coaching staff and from a playing standpoint, and that is let's get to work. You've seen that from the mentality of these rookies. You talked to Tyler Booker this week, talked to Donovan Ezeraku this week, even some of the guys out of the 7th round like Phil Maffa and Tommy Akingbasote. Those guys have everything in front of them. They want to waste no time getting after it, and I think this week's a pretty good indication of that. Some inclement weather kind of affected things on Friday, but moving into the weekend, got a couple good practices in, meetings all weekend long. They're already moving in the right direction toward training camp.
A lot of concern is the Cowboys did not draft a wide receiver. So what about wide receiver 2 on this team now?
Well, that's the thing, is it may not be on the team currently, and that's the big rumor around Cowboys circles right now. No, they did not address wide receiver in the draft, but the value wasn't really there. They took the best player on their board in Tyler Booker in round 1. If Teteroa McMillan may have fallen, he may have been a Dallas Cowboy at that point, but they didn't stretch their board. Now they have to explore other avenues. Maybe it's a reunion with free agent Amari Cooper. That's certainly been a rumor that is growing in its entirety over this last week. That the numbers and the fit has to be right. And it may not be Amari Cooper. It may be one of those trades that Jerry Jones was alluding to. But I think when you look at this wide receiver depth chart, you feel really good about CeeDee Lamb and what he brings. You think the guys like Jalen Tolbert and Kevontae Turpin, Jonathan Mingo can bring substantial production on the back half of the roster. But you got to find somebody else that's a legitimate threat, play in, play out for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's what they're going to be looking for. If CeeDee Lamb is covered, if he's double teamed, if he's taken out of a game plan by an opposing defense, you need somebody else that's willing and able to step up into a wide receiver 1 role. That's where the wide receiver 2 tag comes from.
Yes, they need to replace Brandon Cooks, who has moved on to the New Orleans Saints. We're just getting started on this edition of The Blitz. When we come back, Nicole Hutchison joins the show, and we take a look at this rookie minicamp. Rookies like Donovan Ezeraku.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, is brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. This segment is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
What a weekend it has been here at the Star in Frisco. Welcome back to the Blitz. Bill Jones now joined by Nicole Hutchison. Big weekend for these rookies who arrived on the scene on Thursday. And guess who was there to greet them? Nicole herself, right?
I sure was, Bill. I mean, I got a chance to see and meet the different personalities we're getting here, but obviously the future of the franchise I'm really excited for. But they got to do a lot of mix of different things, right? Getting fitted for the equipment, getting fitted for their cleats and all those good things like that. But they really got to reflect on all the hard work that's finally paid off here to get them here in Dallas.
Past 48 hours have really been a dream come true, from me training in Dallas and this past May and this past combine training. Very familiar with the area, and the whole time I was training, I was like, man, it would be really great to live here and play here, and God saw fit for that to be so I'm very blessed.
It's a dream come true. You know, I always dreamed of, you know, having an opportunity to play, you know, at the biggest stage for my home state. So, man, it's a blessing. I mean, it's something I don't take for granted.
I think I'm still kind of processing, you know, so like, you know, being grabbed, you know, orientational stuff, I guess. But it's pretty cool actually being here, seeing a little bit of the practice. I'm excited.
Brian Schottenheimer said about this class is that you guys are all competitive, you guys are all leaders as well. What's the vibe amongst this rookie class?
Just exactly that. You can tell us, you know, we got a little edge to us, that competitive edge. But it's been pretty good though, because, you know, we seem kind of, you know, cool, filling each other out, things like that.
For us to get a chance to be here and spend time together, you know, it means the world to me. You know, I'm a big, you know, big on relationships, so, you know, it's a good feeling to be able to get to play with the guys that I, you know, played against in college.
Honestly, just blessed, feeling really blessed, grateful to be even in this position, to be in this facility, America's team. You know, it's just great.
What are you looking forward to this weekend at a rookie minicamp?
Just getting out there competing.
Get better at football. You know, I like football. I think I can get better at football. I think that's what I came here to do, get better at football. And I like to compete. You know, I think it's raw. You know, it's innate. It's part of the human nature, and that's what I've loved to do since I was a kid. So just compete, get better.
Words of Tyler Neville, who actually has a pretty unique story overcoming cancer. But all of these guys have some cool stories. They're coming from different walks of life, Bill, but they have one thing in common. They're ready to compete, and that's with the big dogs when they come for OTA soon. So I'm excited to see that competition.
Yeah, just a little orientation of what they can expect. Things get real when they mix with the veterans very soon. Nicole, we appreciate it. The Blitz continues in a moment. Kyle can't wait to break this down. Do the Cowboys need to do more at the cornerback position? Join Duron Bland and the crew when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Blitz continues now here inside the Globe Life studios at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones with Kyle Youmans. And, you know, going into the draft, Kyle, you could make the case that cornerback might be the biggest need on this team. Of course, in the third round, they took a quarterback in Savone Revel. What about this cornerback position? Let's start by taking a look at what we've got on this depth chart here.
And that's the thing, is there are plenty of guys. 9 names is a good amount. You can maybe put C.J. Goodwin in its own category. He's the special teams ace of this Dallas Cowboys franchise. But you feel good about Trayvon Diggs as long as he's healthy. Same thing with Duron Bland, as long as he's healthy. But the Cowboys used 9 different cornerbacks through the 2024 season. So what is there to have in terms of the 2025 season? Savone Revel comes already in with an injury question. So you got to feel like Diggs and Bland are the cornerstones already. Revel, what you get from him is going to be a cherry on top. The guys you really need to step up are the second and third team guys on the depth chart. Guys like Kalen Carson, guys like Josh Butler, who's going into year number 3 with this Cowboys team. Even Andrew Booth, who's in his second year after being traded from Minnesota this past year to Dallas. So overall, there's some depth there, and I think if Revel ends up being healthy and he adds to this mix more than anything, he's going to help kind of sure things up on the outside, as what was a revolving door last year hopefully comes to an infinitive close.
You know, and the thing that makes it tricky is the injury situation. You mentioned Diggs. We'll see where he is once things get going. Revel as well, coming off an ACL. You mentioned Josh Butler. He's coming off an ACL. So, but you look at guys that they have acquired, Revel and in particular Kaiir Elam in the offseason, and those are guys that have to come through here.
And that's
Elam especially, because Revel, we don't know where he is injury-wise.
Exactly. Kaiir Elam is an underrated trade product of this offseason for Dallas, because what he did as a former premium draft pick in Buffalo still shows that he has something left in the tank. You add that with a young talent like Savon Revel and what he brings out of East Carolina, it's that veteran and rookie combo that could possibly be special for the cornerback position as a whole. Because if you're going to have the injury concerns around guys like Trayvon Diggs, there's still a question mark on when he could be available for training camp. If there's injury concerns over Savon Revel and where he could be involved in training camp, I think for the most part, Kaiir Elam's the wild card out of all this. As long as he stays healthy and he takes his game up a notch, even from what Dallas had last year, I think you're looking at a completely different confidence level from the boundary cornerback position. My biggest question going into this year, though, is who's going to play the nickel spot? Where are you going to replace Jordan Lewis? Because that's the one big loss that you had out of this cornerback room from last year. Could you possibly move Revel inside? Would you move DaRon Bland back inside, where he has had some success throughout his career when filling in for Jordan Lewis when Lewis was out for injury? So if you're able to move one guy or the next, that's one thing, but is there a permanent nickelback on this roster? I don't know if I see one specific.
And don't forget Kalen Carson, 5th-round draft pick last year, who made 5 starts a year ago. And coaches talk about that jump from the first year to the second year. It's the biggest that a player makes, and they need a big jump from Kalen Carson. And then there's also the option, just like we talked about previously at the wide receiver position, what's out there in free agency as well.
You could add one more name to this mix, and they did so at training camp last year when they made the trade Nahshon Wright and Andrew Booth. They felt like they kind of run out of the rope for Nahshon Wright, who was a Dan Quinn guy. They go get Andrew Booth, who contributed on special teams, and then at the back half of the schedule last year, filled in remarkably at different times for this cornerback spot. So there's still a lot of growth to be had out of the cornerback room, but I think with the guys that they have in the building at the moment, and especially if Revel is back and healthy moving into the early parts of this season, maybe even as soon as training camp is what he said to the media this week during rookie minicamp, there's confidence to be had at the cornerback position. I don't know if it's as much of a need as it once was going into the offseason.
Well, some questions still to be answered at cornerback. Perhaps the Cowboys answered a question at edge rusher in the 2nd round of the draft. Who replaces DeMarcus Lawrence and others at the edge rusher position? We dive into that when the Blitz continues in a moment.
This segment was brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Donovan Jerry Jones.
How you doing, Mr. Jones?
Dallas Cowboys. We're happy to have you.
Okay.
When is it you get a blue pass rusher? That means you're great with blue character like you. That's a rare occasion, you know, and you're a dog.
Yes, Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College, 2nd-round draft pick of the Cowboys. Bill Jones with Kyle Youmans. And Kyle, I got to tell you, in my big green notebook, you know what it says here? All caps about Donovan Ezeraku. Sharp. Very good talker. That's one of the big things I look for with these players. Can they talk? And he proved this weekend he can talk.
Yeah, he definitely has. And throughout the minicamp process, he continued to show why the Cowboys were so impressed by him through the draft process. Even so, I got my Boston College maroon on today for Donovan Ezeraku. No, he was great to talk to and get to know. I can't wait to see how he brings that energy to this edge rusher room that already has plenty of energy to go around.
And so where will he fit into this Dallas Cowboys edge rusher depth chart? Well, we put him right at the top right here. Of course, Dante Fowler reacquired during this offseason. He had 10.5 sacks last year. for Washington, but the room looks more full now after the draft.
Thank goodness, because of course you get Sam Williams back, you get guys back from injury like Marshawn Nealon, who was in and out of the lineup last year. This could really be a strength for the Cowboys and Matt Eberflus in his first year as a defensive coordinator. The good thing about that is, yes, you've had so many defensive coordinator changes since the start of the 2020 season, but you also have edge rushers that are experienced and have some youth in there as well. Micah Parsons, of course, has become one of the best edge rushers in football. Marshawn Nealon flashed at times last year. Sam Williams is uber athletic and looked like he was on the right track going into another season before his training camp injury last year. When you get all those guys back and piece it together, you might look at this as a 2 or 3 line deep depth chart, and you feel really good about the edge rusher spot overall. You need some help to go your way throughout the season, but if they're able to stay healthy, I think this is a front seven that's going to get back to being one of the best in the NFC.
In particular at the defensive end position, you almost look at it like the running back position, the running back by committee.
Sure.
But on defense, it's Micah is the lead dog, obviously, and then everybody else, it's sort of an edge rusher by committee approach.
Well, and that's how Matt Eberflus wants to run things. He wants to keep these legs fresh going into the third, fourth quarters of a crucial football game. So they're going to rotate guys specifically at the edge rusher spot, sometimes at that 1 and 3 technique. We'll talk about that later in the offseason. But when it comes to edge rushers, you want a legitimate rotation. So when you get past that first wave, let's say it is Parsons and Ezraku, then you go to Fowler and a couple other guys that have been added into the mix this offseason as well. It's not just that first wave of guys. You've got 2 newcomers that are going to come in and make an impact. Add to guys like Sam Williams. Add to guys like Marshawn Nealon, who was a second-round pick this past offseason. I think for the most part, you're looking at edge rusher as a strength now, and you've got depth to it as well. Matt Eberflus has plenty of athletes to play with on that edge rusher spot, and it's going to bring this team back to the forefront defensively.
And that guy right there who wore number 6 at Boston College, he'll wear number 41 for the Cowboys, Donovan Ezraku. Okay, he put up big numbers last year as far as getting to the quarterback, 16.5 sacks, but he also put up big numbers with tackles. He had 80 tackles last season. And the Cowboys, we talk about getting to the quarterback, edge rusher types like that, but you got to defend the run too.
Well, I think that's what Dante Fowler Jr. is going to bring as well. I think both of those guys defend the run well. And when you don't have DeMarcus Lawrence on this roster anymore, when he was healthy, he was one of your best run defenders off of the edge. And to set the edge for a defense is going to allow everyone else to flow freely, whether it's linebacker or defensive tackle or even safety if you bring them down into the box. These guys are going to be the key to stirring the entire defense up and making sure that Matt Eberflus has plenty on the back end of that secondary, plenty of time to get ready and cover those guys.
If these guys can get to the quarterback, that helps gets to the quarterback, that helps the cornerback position as well. All right, we wrap up the Blitz in just a moment. Some key dates to remember as Brian Schottenheimer has his team together.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Dallas Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today. To watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, was brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
Final couple of minutes here of the Blitz. Bill Jones with Kyle Youmans, and it's time for us to prepare you for the weeks and the months ahead as we count down to training camp. Some key dates to remember. One of them already passed back on May 1st this past week. A key date because for a guy like Tyler Smith, the Cowboys did pick up his 5th-year option, being a first-round draft pick back 3 years ago. Kaiir Elam, they did not pick up his 5th-year option. Some other key dates there, Kyle.
Yeah, of course, the rookies Cowboys will be back in the building next week to finish up rookie mini camp and get maybe another walkthrough or practice in there. Then, of course, we're going to figure out what the NFL PA rookie premiere looks like and the Cowboys schedule release on May 14th, 7 o'clock Central Time. Cannot wait to see who the Cowboys are going to play and where they're going to play them and when they're going to play them, because we already know the opponents across the board. But then you get into OTAs, that deadline to sign those franchise tags, July 15th. Keep that in mind. That'll be a talking point all the way through the offseason. And then before you know it, blink of an eye, we're going to be back in Oxnard, California for training camp.
All right, what's the big thing you learned rookie minicamp?
Well, the culture has already begun to lay the foundation. You can feel the energy, you can feel the excitement. Talking through most of the rookie class, if not all of the rookie class, they have one thing in mind, and that is getting better. You heard Nicole Hutchison talk about it earlier. That energy is infectious, and I think it starts from the top down. Brian Schottenheimer already setting the groundwork for the 25 season.
All right, that does it for the Blitz. For Kyle Youmans and Nicole Hutchison, I'm Bill Jones. We'll see you again next week.